Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Fitness Education Series produced by the Australian Fitness Academy. It's like progressive overload for your brain. I'm your host, Tom Rock, and today's podcast, nice quick one, we're going to talk about, we're going to answer the question, what is rucking? And rucking isn't brand new, it's been around a little while, but I think more and more people are doing it. You may see it out there. But rucking is basically walking with a weighted backpack or rucksack, which is why it's called rucking. But it is commonly done these days with a weight vest, which sort of has probably become more common since CrossFit and things like that, a weight vests. But rucking is basically weighted walking with some form of weight, whether you put in a backpack or a weighted vest. And I think it's an interesting concept. I think you might see it out there more often, even when you go for a walk in the park or anything. You might see someone out there with a backpack on or with a weight vest on. I saw someone with a weight vest under their t-shirt the other day, which I thought was just chuck it over your t-shirt. No one's looking at you, judging you. So yeah, it's a good one. But I think rucking it's a common thing out there, and I think there's nothing wrong with giving it a go, seeing what you think. Um, the idea behind it is that it will burn more kilojoules than just regular walking. So weighted walking will burn more kilojoules than regular walking, and um, it's not an exact science exactly how much more, because there's so many variables depending on how much weight, how fast you're walking, the terrain. All these things will affect how many kilojoules you actually burn. But as a rough sort of estimate, you could burn around 100 calories, or 420 kilojoules, 100 calories walking for 30 minutes. In 30 minutes of rucking, it could be between 4 to 600 calories. So roughly sort of 4 to 6 times the amount of kilojoules by rucking. Again, it's going to depend on the weight and your speed of walking and the terrain. If it's hilly, all that sort of thing will play a part. But the idea I think a lot of people are using it for is to increase energy expenditure. So if you're trying to lose weight or a client's trying to lose weight, and we know that energy in versus energy out, you obviously have to be in a kilojoule deficit to lose weight. If they're trying to expend as many kilojoules as possible and they've got 30 minutes to go for a walk, if they add some weight to the walk, they potentially burn more kilojoules in the exact same amount of time. So it's an interesting concept. It can be definitely useful, I think. It's not necessary. You can definitely burn kilojoules and lose weight without rucking. And sometimes logistically, it might not be ideal. You potentially have to purchase a backpack, and you want certain backpacks are probably better because they will take the weight, and you want to be careful with the load and things like that. So hey, don't have to go out there and don't necessarily have to start prescribing it to all your clients. Definitely do some research, try it yourself potentially, see if the client's heard of it. Don't have to prescribe it off the bat. I think it's just an interesting concept to see these different tools that are out there. And there's not a whole lot of research on specifically rucking. I think the idea behind it and the kilojoules burned is, we obviously know it's going to increase the amount of kilojoules burned throughout the time period. A lot of the sort of research based is on what they term in the research is loaded carries. And a lot of that is done on members of the army, and they do that because they carry a lot of backpacks and heavy equipment in the army regularly over long distances. So they're regularly carrying 10 to 20 kilos worth of gear as they march around or sort of trek over the terrain. So there's a lot of research around loaded carries with army personnel and the energy expenditure, the energy requirements, and the physical requirements of that, so they can sort of specify or make the training more specific for them. But rucking is really the same concept. So that's sort of an interesting sort of thing to think about. I think where the literature is, they don't sort of look at rucking, but there is literature on loaded carries, but it's more geared towards members of the army and carrying gear and things like that. If you're looking to start rucking or give it a shot, generally it's the same as other exercises that you would think about prescribing to clients. Is you would start light and with low volume and slowly progress as they increase their fitness and their ability. Generally, you'd start with somewhere between 4 to sort of 9 kilos. Again, probably err on the side of caution. Start nice and light, and you can slowly increase over time, potentially getting to 15 to 20 kilos, depending on a client's stature, if they enjoy it, their goals, all these sort of things. Again, there's no point just chucking on a heap of weight thinking, yes, I'm going to lose a heap more fat by chucking on more weight, because there can be increased risks of injuries and things like that. I think it's important to maintain good, like, normal walking mechanics. If you are thinking about giving it a shot or giving it to clients, it shouldn't be something that changes your walking mechanics a whole lot. It should be a relatively lightweight that you can still walk normally with, because you might find if clients just go all out and just start implementing a whole lot of rucking with heavier weight, it could sort of increase risk of back pain, even joint pain, hips, and knee pain potentially. Is something to be careful of if you just all of a sudden start rucking. So it is going to add load to joints, and posture can be an issue too. So you want to make sure, yeah, it doesn't really change your normal walking mechanics, and you want to have the load sort of secured. If you sort of if it's throwing out your posture and you're sort of, as you're walking, your gait is different, you might experience sort of back pain or joint pain. So it's something to build up slowly, and it might not be for everyone. So keep that in mind if you're thinking about giving it a try or prescribing to clients. Yeah, keep that in mind. But it's interesting to sort of think about if a client has seen it or done it or they mention it. It's good to sort of understand why it might be beneficial, but also why it might not be necessary, and probably potentially some of the risks associated with it. But it also can be quite good. There's one sort of study that I'll post in the description, a couple of links in terms of rucking, and you can have a look at some of the information that's out there on it. One article was in regards to sort of older clients. It wasn't really in terms of, it wasn't called rucking, but again, loaded carries and loaded stepping. Doesn't have to be a heavy weight, but it has been also shown to increase lower limb strength and lower limbs like functionality. So in older clients, if we can sort of, it's been applied doing loaded steps, it's been shown to improve functionality and lower body strength. So it wouldn't be a heavy weight, but adding that slight bit of weight to their general step ups or their walking can help them increase lower body strength and stability, or maybe maintain it for a longer period of time as well. So it has a whole lot of, I think, applications that could be really useful. So yeah, just a quick little podcast today on rucking, guys. Something for you to look into, see what it's all about, have a go at it, potentially use it as a tool or utilize it yourself, and see what you think, and see if you think it's worth prescribing, not worth prescribing. But in terms of if a client doesn't like to run, or they have limited time and they do like going for their daily walk, and they're looking to sort of increase the amount of kilojoules they're burning, it could be a potential option for them to look into and for you to sort of help them, assist them with. But again, starting light is the key, and they might not have to progress it too much, as long as they sort of, once they get that low, it could be 5 kilos, and they just put that on every time they go for a walk, and that helps increase their kilojoule or energy expenditure. Again, there's lots of other ways to increase energy expenditure in terms of if they just walk faster, or the terrain, it's more hilly, walking up hills, all these sort of things. There's lots of different ways where they walk for slightly longer, different modes of exercise, all sorts of options. This is just another option out there potentially that they can utilize. But yeah, just another interesting one that you can hopefully utilize this information, look into it a little bit, give it a try again, start slow. Any back pains and things like that, you'd want to stop, reduce the load, and sort of approach professional physio, osteo, potentially things like that to look into it. Might not be for everyone. It probably needs to slowly increase core strength, thoracic mobility, all sorts of things will come into play. But rucking, it's definitely up and coming. You'll see more of it out there, I think, as a mode of exercise. But an interesting one if you're just trying to eke out those last couple of kilojoules from your daily walk potentially. Other than that, guys, if you've got any thoughts on this topic, send them through to tom@afa.com.au, or if you've got any questions or topics you'd like me to cover, send me an email as well. Definitely happy to touch on anything you guys want to hear me discuss. Other than that, have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you all soon.